I've been talking a little bit about Lil Kanye, aka Nick Fuentes, Nick Daisy Fuentes, and how his turn from the Republican Party has gotten, like Tucker Carlson's balloon knot in a shrivel, and so this is this is him waking up to the mass deportations things. Now, I don't know, having not watched this, I don't know if Fuentes, if Daisy has the ability to grasp, but that there aren't another 10 million illegal immigrants in the country that came in during Biden, and certainly not 25 million like Trump. Like it just didn't happen. It fucking didn't. So let's give Daisy a listen and see what maggots are reacting to, and then I'll show you, I think, one of the reactions. Oh, hold on, I gotta play this one. This guy. Very fancy. Little graphic.
Our first story.
You can't write off the skill at Fiverr.
All right, we'll talk about the mass deportation sort of while we're on the subject.
When are you not on the subject of mass deportation? Just for the record. Also, maybe don't wear camo-y pullovers because it looks like you're in a ghillie suit in your mom's basement.
And this is not...
Which is fine.
Anything really all that new. It's just that we finally got the data. And as you know...
Oh, yeah. So, just so you know, I think it was Newsweek. Maybe this is what he's referring to. Hold on. Newsweek FOIA deportation data. Because I've seen a few people flip out about this. Probably what it is. ICE data shows steady rise in immigrants self-deporting. Right, because they filled out their own forms. Yeah, here you go. Total knows January to July. Small but rising number of selfies. The repeatedly touted high deportation, but the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have not published consistent under Biden. DHS shared monthly updates. More generally, there's this. What do we know about them? ICE removals by country. Hold on, let me show you this. He's going about the worst of the worst bullshit. Okay, so was it Newsweek that did it? Hold on. And numbers released by users under a free. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is the FOIA ICE documents that they put out that Newsweek requested, and the numbers just suck. Like they're so low compared to Biden's that it's laughable. And you'll see, like, I'm fairly certain that's where he's going.
This has been a big issue of mine for the past couple of years.
Really? Brown foreign people coming into the country has been a big issue for you? You don't say.
When the Trump campaign promised the mass deportations last year,
I think when the Trump campaign promised fill in the blank, it's all been bullshit.
You got to realize what a tall order that really is. And realistically, this is something that has been talked about for a long time. We have an unbelievable, huge illegal immigrant population.
No, we don't. It's completely believable. It's actually lower than it has been. It's about 10.3 million people. It was 11 for the longest time. It's below that number, largely because of COVID, old age, and other opportunities. Also, the rise in labor and the moving of factories to Mexico is one of the things that kept people over there, and that's why you're not seeing as many Mexicans come across the border as you are, say, Guatemalans or Venezuelans or people from other countries, and why it's a mishmash. So, anyways.
We all recognize that it needs, the illegal immigration itself has to stop, and a lot of these people that are already here and have been here have to go.
Right. So just he's one of these guys. When Trump says there'll be an honor system on farms and all this stuff, these guys all just explode.
Especially in the past 4 years, when we've had
no, not especially
this record-breaking, unbelievable amount of illegal immigration.
No, not record-breaking, not unbelievable. Vast majority of people were turned away. Even the number of asylum seekers, while large, was absorbed very well. And there were so many people that either died, left, moved back home because of COVID. They couldn't work in fields or out in, all the jobs that they had that were in hospitality, for example, hotels, restaurants and stuff. All those people basically had to go back home because there were no jobs anywhere. And they couldn't just live here, hoping it passed.
Literally smashing every record on the book by orders of magnitude.
Literally not.
It just has to start going in reverse.
Oh, you mean like Trump said he would do with inflation? Good luck with that, buddy.
That being said, this mass deportation proposal is a huge ordeal. It's a huge undertaking.
Huge.
And I don't think people realize that. I realized that. And I knew that last year when they...
Well, yeah, it seems like it would be a huge undertaking to get, 25 million people out of the country in a couple of months. Like, besides the fact that it would take us, all the commercial flights in the United States, both domestic and international, going like 24/7 to fly those people out in the time scale, just the idea that you're finding them, right? Yeah, so it kind of sounds like a big deal. He looks high as fuck. I think he's sick. He's got a little mug, and he was sick in one of these other videos, and I think that's why he normally wears a suit, but he's wearing his camo whoopee.
He said we are going to massively deport all these millions of illegal immigrants. Immediately, this set off the alarm with me, because in order to deport millions of people, you're gonna need tons of money, tons of personnel.
A bill that's passed so that you could fund it. Weird,
And
Lynn says, who's listening to these turds? Everybody. On the right, they were all avoiding him for a long time. And the reason I show you some of these guys, and as they get annoying, is that I want you to know the messaging that is creeping through the right, or that that is either informing them and how they telling them what they want to hear, or what's dismantling on their side. Because again, this is one of the true believers, like the full-on maggots, and he's basically dismantling Trump from his side, which is hilarious. Again, it's not even, we're not to the side of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's not even necessary. But you need to know the weak points that maggots are flipping out about. And this is a great window into it.
maybe more even than the resources, and related to the resource question also, you need political will. Because the bigger problem you're going to run into in this gigantic undertaking, it cannot be done inconspicuously.
Yeah, I know. That's why he's trying to fool you by rounding up fucking Koreans at a battery plant to make it look like he's doing something big, or creating alligator Alcatraz to try and bullshit you into him being tough on this.
To massively deport millions of people from America, you're going to need to enlist tons of manpower.
Mm-hmm. And pay them, in theory. Unless, I mean, I'm sure he knows a bunch of militia dudes who would do it for free.
Tons of money. You're going to need to build structures, enlist judges, lawyers. It cannot be done inconspicuously, discreetly. You cannot do this under the cover of night.
Right. Well, I mean, that's not fair. You can if you want to completely undermine what America is all about, which is what Trump is trying to do. You can't do it and still have America as a functioning country, which is the part where I think that's the blind spot with some of these assholes, is that they think Trump actually likes America and wants America to exist.
This is going to be a Herculean, long-term, intensive effort.
Run completely by assholes.
Now, with that being said, for that to work, a couple of things are going to need to happen.
Yes, one, you're going to need to hit the like on the show right now. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, you were saying?
Forget about, for a moment, the cash infusion. Forget about how you build the detention facilities.
Obviously, with you have kids who go to Jesus camp, make it out of popsicle sticks.
Forget about how you train up the personnel. What is involved in the
training?
question of mass deportations is first and foremost a question of follow through.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe that's why Trump is fucking it up. Because he has none. And if you don't believe me, wait 2 weeks. The easiest 2-week prediction that you can ever do is in 2 weeks, Trump won't have done shit.
When you think about huge projects like World War II, like the New Deal, like major infrastructure projects, building the federal highway system.
Yes, all the stuff Republicans are against.
What is required is a sustained focus from...
Right. They've had plenty of Adderall. They're blazing that shit over there. Doesn't that give you sustained focus? Isn't hyper-focus, though, the opposite of wisdom? And maybe that's part of the problem. But that's a philosophical discussion for another thing. Sometimes I drop gems just for the shit of it.
the top for a long period of time. How do you deport millions of people?
Practice. No.
Well, you're going to need the whole of government to be involved.
Yes, that's the Department of Education. Got to round people up. School buses, when they're not being used.
It's going to need to get bigger. It's going to need to get more focused. It's
well, yeah, about that.
going to need to build things and hire people, and it's going to need to combat different federal injunctions from judges. It's very complicated. And so what this requires is organization, coordination, focus, perseverance. In a word, political will.
Well, it's not, that's more than political will. That I would argue a plan, an actual coordinated, like responsive plan with real benchmarks and stuff. You know, stuff Trump is afraid to do.
If you're going to massively deport people, this needs to be a central focus.
Yeah. I mean, can't do that though, because then the farmers that, you know, the big agribusiness guys will get mad at Trump, and then who's going to mow his stupid golf courses?
Do you understand?
Yes, we all do, which is why we're actually long-term not concerned about Trump, because he's
Dum 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 dum. Dumb, stupid.
Asshole.
Dumb, silly, stupid, dumb.
All right.
It's like Obamacare, or it's like the war in Iraq. To move
Yes, I often compare those two.
10 million people out of this country in a short period of time, it's a big deal. That needs to take up all the energies and all the attention of the people in government. So that's actually a big question. Is the Trump administration prepared to do this?
Well, I feel like that's a trick question, because they're not prepared for anything. They don't prepare at all. Like, it's just fucking throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. But somehow, maybe you guys think he's prepared.
Is that a serious proposal?
No, okay, obviously not. It's the Trump administration. It's Trump. It's not serious.
When they say
Seriously damaging, but not actually a serious effort.
mass deportations, are they being flippant? Are they using a figure of speech? When they say mass deportations,
No, that's your love language. They just speak your love language, Nick.
do they mean they're going to round up millions of people and physically remove them?
You wish.
Or do they mean like a lot of deportations?
I don't think they mean either.
Do they mean more deportations?
Oh, what does Obamacare have to do with anything? Cat's a Gem. I think what he means is that they managed to get it through because it took a lot of work. It's him admitting there was a lot of work that went into the Infrastructure Act, right? Am I volunteering him? Yes, I am.
Than we're getting. Because there's a big difference. There's all the difference in the world. You can reasonably increase deportations with the resources we have. You could get new resources. But to massively deport people is a whole other thing. So what did they mean by that?
I think they meant blow me, and you said yes, sir, because it sounded good at the time, because it's fucking ridiculous, because anybody who looked at the numbers knew that they couldn't do it both they logistically just don't have the fucking brains for anything that big, and there aren't that many illegals in the first place?
When they said mass deportations, did they know what they were talking about?
They didn't have to. All you assholes got half a chub just hearing that phrase.
Do you know what they were talking about? Did they mean that there would be a whole of government approach to move millions of people out of the country? Are they prepared to do that?
By the way, they didn't have to, because these assholes filled in the blanks. All they had to say was mass deportations. It's going to be awesome, and they're going to do this, and they're going to have to, because you assume all the work that has to go into it, so they immediately started fapping at the idea. Not going, how? You can't ask Trump how. So the idea that they have a how is ridiculous, because nobody's even allowed to kick those fucking tires. So this is just hilarious watching them kind of wake up, I guess, to the idea that it was always a fucking game of three-card Monty.
Are they capable of doing that? Do they have the will to be that focused, coordinated, organized, and to carry this out in a sustained way to the exclusion of almost everything else for the entirety of the 4 years?
No. I don't think they have the will to do anything except watch Trump golf the entirety of the 4 years if he makes it.
Another big variable in this equation is that maybe you could argue yes, because Trump has had it. He knows how government works. He's got the right personnel this time. He's got Stephen Miller. He's going to come in focused, and he's just going to do things. And maybe you've taken care of that side of the equation. Maybe you believe that. But then, of course, in politics, there's an action and a reaction.
Well, there's only a reaction if there's an action.
What happens when the administration starts to ramp up? Like I said, they can't do this discreetly. When they start hiring and you see federal officers everywhere and you see people in cages that are being built very quickly to expedite them out of the country, you're going to get a major reaction. And not just from the left. You're going to get a reaction from the Democrats, from the media, from the far left. You're also going to get a reaction from moderate Republicans, from the Joe Rogans. Maybe Stephen Miller's ready for mass deportations. Is Joe Rogan?
Do I think he really gives a shit? I mean, it depends on like how big his joint is today, quite frankly. That's how you gauge whether he gives a fuck.
Is David Sachs? Is Elon Musk? Our core members of the MAGA coalition from the election, are they prepared for that? The answer I always thought was no. And we saw a preview of this in 2018. Trump started to get the border under control very quickly in his first term. In order to do that, they had to separate the minors from the adults when they detained them. They called it the family separation policy. Unaccompanied minors are a big part of the illegal immigration problem. They started to do this, and they had wall-to-wall coverage 24/7 for months. You remember, before...
Yeah, it was unnecessarily cruel and gross, and yeah, Jesus.
For the midterms, the narrative was that Trump was putting children in cages. Kids were being put in cages. It's like the Holocaust.
He was like, I wish.
And the administration backed down under political pressure. So the question is not just, is the Trump administration prepared to do it? Are they prepared to do it against all the inevitable pushback from the media, from your own political faction?
No, fuck that. No, you don't get to blame the media or something like the usual suspects, asshole. It's the fucking big agribusiness and the hoteliers, like the fucking Steve Wynn and all those other people that he's friends with who are like, hey, I gotta have my cleaning staff and all that kind of stuff. Can you guys send your dudes the other direction? Maybe go after some people at a fucking electric car factory or a solar power plant, where they're making solar panels or some shit like that, because you're people like that. But I need them to fucking mow the lawn.
From the Democrats in the midterm election, are you prepared? Because it's one thing to do it by itself, but it's another thing to do it against all the opposition, because that's really what makes it a challenge. The rest is logistics. And I said last year, I think the answer is no. Nothing that you could show me last year proved in any way, shape, or form that this administration would be serious about doing what I just said. They're not organized. They're not intentional.
They're high as fuck.
Not focused.
With all that Adderall.
They're not capable. And what's more, are they ready for the pushback? Absolutely not. What happens when Elon and Joe Rogan join up with the left and suddenly this frat bro uprising, golden age, morning in America, when that crashes on the rocks of reality and we realize people are actually quite liberal still?
Damn it.
Are people going to be able to fight? Are they going to be willing to continue what must be done? And
I think, well, it's the must be done part that I'll question, but not whether or not people will rise up or act. It's just that they will actually act against that horseshit.
No, nobody in this administration is serious about this. They're not serious about what it takes to do it. They're not serious about pushing back against the left. It's not going to happen. I said, rather, what we're getting is this sort of flippant bait. They're saying, yeah, mass deportations. Because they know that those are the magic words that they can use to get the radical right-wing base to turn up in the election and vote. But they're not really serious about following through. Now, since Trump got into office, this has been a matter of much scrutiny. Has there been follow-through? Are they trying? And this has been a matter of a lot of debate. And if you watch the show, you've seen it. You have defenders of the administration on one side that are arguing that, as a matter of fact, the mass deportations are happening. And how do they characterize this? They say, well, they're not where they need to be, but they're ramping up, and the administration is having to fight all these legal battles, and they had to get money through the big, beautiful bill, and there's all these other considerations, but they're coming eventually. It's going to happen one day. They're using other measures. For example, they used a figure from a survey offered by the Census Bureau, a small survey, which they said showed evidence based on some math that they did that 2 million people left America voluntarily. 2 million illegal foreign nationals left the country voluntarily. And here's the issue with this debate about, whether this is happening in what.
Okay, he's kind of slowly ramping up to this because I think he wigs at one point. Let's see where
he's been verified as leaving using the enforcement under restrictionists. It's all the way over there. That's not our problem. I care about America. They say the Israelis get their war. They get the West Bank and Gaza. We get our mass deportations. All right.
By the way, apparently that was the trade-off between maggots and neocons, was you guys can bomb Iran and fight in Israel as long as you broom out the brown people. This was apparently the Faustian bargain between MAGA and the Republicans. Cool story, bro, but that's apparently what they think the drawing lines were.
Well, what if they're not holding up their end of the bargain? What if they never intended to hold up their end of the bargain?
Then it's just like the first Trump administration and you should have learned your fucking lesson, but you're too dense.
What if the structure of the deal is all wrong? Because we give them our vote and then they're in the driver's seat. People like us are not in power. They are in power. So you have two parties that come together ostensibly for the execution of a deal. And
by the way, he doesn't mean Democrats and Republicans. He means the maggot/Groyper crowd, his little watered down Nerf neo-Nazis, his group, and the establishment Republicans.
We agree, okay, you get one thing, I get this thing, but the other party executes the deal. The other party is in charge of how the deal is executed. Now, is that how any deal really works?
No, but it's how three-card Monte works, and you are the idiot for thinking there's a deal being made.
Would you make any deal like that with your...
Here's a good idea, asshole. Elect people that are going to do the stuff you want to do within the realm of what's humanly possible and deal with the reality and the gravity of that circumstance. Don't make a deal that you'll let them do something you can't stand so that they'll do something for you that they can't stand, because once they get in there, the only impetus they will have is to do the thing that they need to do and fuck you. Good God.
Finances, would you make any deal like that with a business partner? Would you enter into a deal with another party, a quid pro quo, and that other party is unilaterally in control of how the deal is carried out and whether they're
You kind of do it all the time, but sure.
going to hold up their end of the bargain? Of course not. Well, what am I talking about here?
I don't know.
If the proposition is the Republican Party is coming to us and saying, all right, everybody, we're going to have to give the Israelis their war, but don't worry, you're going to get immigration. It's a matter of trust that they're going to follow through because the Israelis are running the government.
Okay. All right. Meow. Right. I thought we were just kind of realizing that he let Trump grab him by the pussy, and now he doesn't understand why he's not calling the next day. That he doesn't respect you in the morning. But no, sorry, I forgot it's always the Jews. Yeah.
We're not running the government. Nativists are not. Who's running even the deportation policy? Stephen Miller.
Oh, right, and he's Jewish. Right, the evil Jew, right.
Stephen Miller is a Zionist Jew.
Right. Okay, I don't know why it took me that long to figure it out. I see. Right, that's why it's not working. It's not because Trump's full of shit and his buddies run all these businesses. It's because Stephen Miller is Jewish. Holy shit.
Stephen Miller is a Zionist Jew cheerleading the war in Iran. He was married to his Jewish wife by Trump's ambassador to Israel. We have no control. We are not in the driver's seat.
Yeah, he had Stephen Miller in his cabinet the first time, and his daughter was married to Jared Kushner before them. You didn't see the whole Jew thing coming, I guess. That's what shocks me. If I would just, okay, what I'm thinking is, and you'll have to forgive me because I don't feel this way when I see any group coming unless it's because of the symbols that they're wearing. But if somebody's walking down the street with a swastika on their arm, I'm going to probably, unless it's Halloween at a really fucked up party, I'm going to assume I'm going to assume ill. But if you automatically go, oy, the Jews. Ugh, the Jews are going to, they're going to Jew. What am I going to do with the Jews? They're going to Jew me. The Jewing is going to happen, the great Jewing. If that's what you worry about all the time, then how does the whole Trump, Netanyahu, Jared and Ivanka conversion, the Stephen Miller thing, how's that get past you? Right? Is it just me? Chat room, I just gotta say, like, if you're that much of a bigot, how do you let some of this shit slide? Right? How do you get sideswiped by something so fucking obvious? Yes, satire warning, very important. Yeah. Blazing Saddles. Oh, they're blacker than us, right? Lube, yeah, that's probably it. Desolate Misanthrope, yeah, probably. Yeah, Laura Loomer, same way, yeah. Fiduciary booty, it's gross. It's a mystery, right? How did I see this coming? Even though Stephen Miller was like, everybody was like, he's going to get a bigger position in the White House once he gets in. All right. But I did not know that he was a Zionist Jew. I just thought he was a Nosferatu.
Who's being appointed? Darren Beatty, Mike Benz, Yoram Hazony's people. These are all Jews.
I see. And Trump is telling them what to do. So maybe Maybe it's rich second generation New Yorkers.
Tucker Carlson had on a guest who was fired from the State Department because Mark Levin's son-in-law, nephew-in-law complained.
But isn't that what Mark Levin's entire family does? I mean, that's the brand.
So we think...
Nosferatu. I don't think that's a thing.
We're making this deal. We're trusting them to execute the deal out of good faith on our behalf and hold up their end of the bargain. Why would they do that?
They wouldn't.
We vote for them. They get all the power. They do the things that they want. And the things that we want are a complete afterthought.
Really? Because the guy I voted for last time, he got me an infrastructure bill. He worked on, he busted his ass trying to forgive student loans. He did the first project to remove lead pipes from the American water system since the American water system was put in. He did the Chips and Science Act to like rebuild innovation centers and make sure that we had chips for all of our electronic devices made here in the United States. I don't know, but I didn't have that much to bitch about. I think he was dealing with the gravity and the reality of a post-COVID economy, which I didn't blame on him. But all of a sudden, you know, like when a Democrat's in office, the economy is all their fucking fault, even if it comes after a pandemic. But when Trump gets in, it's the last Democrat's fault. Ever notice that? Maybe it isn't about racial dynamics. Maybe it isn't about the Jews controlling the world. Maybe it's because you're a gullible fuck who bought Donald Trump's garbage hook, line, and sinker, and you'd rather like drown yourself in racism than recognize your own like intellectual, moral, psychological, and philosophical gaps, the gaping holes in your fucking prefrontal cortex.
Obviously. They're going to do the things they want, and if we're lucky, maybe they'll do the things that they promised that they would do for us. But they don't really care that much. That's the problem. Now, the reason...
No. It's not the problem. It's your problem. Honest to God, with the limitations that Biden was going through, that fucker killed it. Even when he lost the House and didn't have control of the House and the Senate, he still got an infrastructure bill passed, which just goes to show you that Trump could have gotten the same bill passed when he had Democrats in there, but he didn't give a fuck. He didn't want to. And there's a difference between trying really hard and failing and somebody never wanting to do it in the first place and making you look like an asshole. And if you can't tell the difference to the point where it's like, it's just the government, man. It's the deep state. No, it isn't. No. There's people that get up every fucking day in business and government and in their own family lives and try to make the world better every goddamn day. And there are people who run against them, trying to make it harder unnecessarily. And Trump is one of those people. He's just trying to fuck shit up.
I'm saying this thing about mass deportations. Let's just be honest. It isn't happening. It's been 7 months.
Aww.
And there has been no significant deportations. And before people say, well, you know, we got to pressure the administration to get these numbers higher. You know, look, like on some level, I'm not opposed to that. People say we got to pressure the administration. If it's not happening by now, it ain't going to happen. We got to put the pressure on. First of all, what does that mean? You're going to get on social media and say what? Dude, they run social media. Elon Musk owns Twitter. The Trump administration's facilitating the purchase of TikTok. And all the influencers on our side are paid off by the GOP. You are not pressuring shit. Okay? You're not pressuring anything. Pressure. You think you can generate pressure? Vance's best friend owns the fucking platform. All the top influencers are paid by the GOP. Who do you think you're pressuring exactly?
I know.
So that's one. When people say that, what do they mean? You're going to go online with your 300 follower account and complain?
Right.
And who's going to listen?
I know.
All these people in government, they know what they promised. They know what they said.
Sad.
You think they're going to look at this 300-follower account and say,
No,
oh,
they're not
boy,
gonna.
well, this guy's not happy. I guess we
Bam.
have to move all of government to deport millions of people because
Right.
it doesn't work that way. I'm not opposed to it, but think about the calculus here. Let's think about a couple of things. First, let's think about the economy.
Thinking. Right.
We're entering stagflation. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Interest rates are already high,
High. Yeah.
but inflation is high.
Oh, it's high. right.
Inflation is stubborn. Looks
is.
like it's might be creeping back up.
Oh no.
If you lower interest rates, there's a chance that inflation might go up more. You already have tariffs in place. Arguably, in the short term, tariffs
Terrible.
have an inflationary effect.
And you were supposed to
In
be
the
winning.
short term, these tariffs will increase prices.
Yeah.
So you have stubbornly high inflation because
Right.
of COVID, quantitative easing, supply chains, tariffs.
So bad.
It's stubborn.
It is.
At the same time, the job market is very slow right now. There's some red flags in the economy. That's why
Right.
Trump wants to lower the rates. He wants to grease up the economy. He wants the stock market to go up. He wants hiring to improve.
Too bad.
So we're already in this very tricky situation where we have to choose between high inflation or slow growth.
Right.
You either lower interest rates
Right.
and you get high inflation
Oh,
and
no.
maybe you kickstart growth.
Right.
Or you keep interest rates high and inflation stays down,
low.
but growth is slow and you're sort of effectively in a recession. What happens when you
What happens?
massively deport illegal immigrants? Well, look, a lot of them have jobs.
Right.
And that means a couple of things. That means they work for low wages.
Right.
The other thing means they spend money here.
They do, and that money,
So
where's
what
that?
happens when you deport illegal immigrants? Well,
Yeah.
wages are going to have to go up because the
Yep.
labor pool shrinks.
That's right.
Labor cost goes up. Prices
Sure.
have to go up. That's
They do.
inflation.
Right.
And consumer spending goes down.
I
These
know.
illegal immigrants, they do spend money here.
I know.
So that slows growth.
Yeah.
So deporting illegal immigrants is not something the administration wants to do right now.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, just ask the administration. What did Trump say when he passed the Big Beautiful Bill?
Right.
The Big Beautiful Bill was supposed to
Sad.
remedy all these resource problems that were hindering mass deportations. They appropriated $150 billion to hire the ICE agents, build the facilities,
Build the
get it
facility.
going. And what
get
did
it
Trump
going.
say the day the bill was passed?
I don't know.
He said, we will not deport illegal immigrants working on farms, in hotels, in restaurants, in construction.
That's so sad.
He said, and the radical right won't like that, but they'll understand. He said, we need the people. We need these people to stay here.
need the people,
What does he
right.
mean we need the people?
What does he
we
mean?
have people here. It's not that we need the people, it's
don't
that
need-
we
don't
need
need
the
the people?
people to
We need
stay here working at the wages they're working at because
Whoa.
we don't want to upset the apple cart.
I see, because apples, they
So
pick
for
apples.
economic reasons,
Right.
that's why the deportations are going down. The Big Beautiful Bill passed in what, May? June?
June,
Deportations
July
went
even.
down.
They did.
Think about it.
I am.
We appropriated $150 billion to get deportations up.
Right, and
Trump deployed the National Guard to LA to suppress the anti-deportation riots. And after both of these things, deportations are down.
Oh, no.
20%.
That's-
They're down month over month. And they told us why.
then why?
It's because even though the base wants it, even though the administration promised it,
To
it's
assholes.
just not going to work for the economy. So the
Right.
economic
Sure.
constraints are
Right.
there. Then
'Cause
there's the
maggots
political constraints.
Want cheap shit at Cracker Barrel.
When those riots were happening in LA, you know who spoke up against the deportations? It wasn't just leftists. It was
No.
also Joe Rogan.
Oh,
It was
Rogan.
also Elon Musk.
Yeah, I
They
blame
said,
him.
We're okay with deporting criminals. I don't know about everybody else, though.
Oh, you don't know about everybody else.
And they signaled that a year ago. Joe Rogan is not a far-right ethno-nationalist.
Not yet. He should
Neither
be, but
is
he's
the
not.
All In
Why not?
podcast or David Sachs, or for that matter, anyone in Silicon Valley.
Right, none of them. Most of them are
Now,
foreign
what
born,
happens
so
in the midterm elections
you lose?
when you, let's say next year in 2026, because
Next year,
people think the
2026.
numbers
Oh, I
are
thought
low now. Okay,
Oh.
what if they get jacked up? What if the numbers are doubled?
Uh-huh.
Well, you're getting killed with Hispanic voters.
Oh, terrible.
You're
Well,
going to have
if they're
people
here,
like Joe
gotta
Rogan
get
in
rid of 'em.
Silicon Valley. They'll be speaking out against it.
Joe Rogan
So
lives
how's
in
that going to
Texas.
help? And
Probably
maybe the
won't.
money dries up for the Republicans in the
Oh, no.
midterms too, because now Silicon Valley is such a
Don't
big
threaten me with a
patron of the
good
GOP. And that's not to mention what is going to be the political effect of wall-to-wall coverage of Gestapo ICE raids
Right.
and riots and Antifa
Yeah, it gives
terrorism
you a
trying to
boner,
stop
but
them.
people aren't gonna like
it's
that.
not going to happen politically either. So it is September 2025.
Yes, it is.
The midterms realistically start in the spring of next year. So you got about 8 months before this becomes reality. The economic constraints are already there.
Brutal.
And then from then until election day,
Right.
you can't do mass deportations.
No, you can't do it then. You
What
gotta do it
happens
now.
in 2027? Well, the race for 2028 begins.
Right,
Of
then
course.
JD Vance is
2028, you're going to have a wide open Republican and Democrat field, just like in 2016.
Yeah, wow.
And these primaries, they tend to start in 2020. The Democrat primary started in January 2019, 2 months after the midterms.
Wow.
In 2016, the GOP primary started in April 2015,
I know.
5 months after the midterms.
Fascinating.
So the midterms are going to be most of next year, and then within maybe 6 months of the midterms, the 2028 election begins. And it's the same logic.
That's
The
terrible.
same economic logic,
logic.
the same political logic.
Yeah, right. It's almost like you're saying.
So people are out there saying,
And by the way, forgive me for a second, but it seems like what he's saying is like everything everybody already knows, but with a little sprinkling of racism, like seasoned to taste with racism, like this. And by the way, this is the single most powerful voice on the right now. Just so you know. I just want you to know this. This guy. Single most powerful on the right by far. And the weird part is that if he could curtail his blaming the Jews and talking about like black people's brain size and all the kind of racist shit that he's dabbled in or deeply believes. I don't know what the depth of his beliefs are because I don't watch enough of his stuff to see it, but I've seen the highlights. That if he could keep that on the down low, he could David Duke his way into a bigger PowerPoint, and that's what his goal is. Yes, for real. Chat room. He's one of those guys where, and I'll see if I can show you something else, why that is. And by the way, he doesn't even have to dial it back that much. Let's see, there's a dude who, yeah, I'll have to search for him. There are guys who post his clips. And let's see if I can find the names of his stuff. Like who posts this? The Hodge twins do videos. Yeah, here it is. OHGI. This guy.
the coast of Venezuela.
All right, so I just want you to notice something real quick about this. Okay, this is just like him flipping out about
That you're an enemy of the government. And that's literally what Trump said this week. So we'll
About the
talk
Epstein
all
files.
about that. We're also going to talk tonight about the military strike off the coast of Venezuela. The president of No New Wars is at it again.
Okay, so again, a lot of what he's saying, but for all the abject racist shit that again is sprinkled on everything, like he's trying to Nashville hot everything. Far too much for even your run of the mill Republican racists. Without that, he would have a much bigger control point. But may I show you something? Even with all that stuff, even with all of the stuff he said on Candace Owens' podcast and all this stuff, yes, Jimmy Dore loves him, and he wants. At one point, he wanted to be the kind of like hack, open mic Alex Jones. That would be Jimmy Dore. He's the hack open mic Alex Jones. He's now trying to be the hack open mic Nick Fuentes. I'm not kidding. This guy right here. This is a network. He's got about 35,000 subscribers. I think more than Jim Brewer, or close to it, the same as Jim Brewer's channel. OHGI is what this guy calls it. A black dude who just does videos, and it's basically conservative leaning Christian stuff. And there's a lot of Christian overlap in these like right-wing Christian nationalist crowd that try to excuse his failings as well. We're all human and we all sin. And this guy does his posts. He's been kicked off of Twitter, or off of YouTube. So this guy posts clips of him and calls himself the black guy in the corner. I think it's even at the beginning of the video. There's like a little thing. Yeah, there you go. The black guy in the corner. Like that's his beat, is he just kind of plays videos, and it's not like he talks over them like I do or makes reference and fun of them. He literally just delivers them to an audience for Nick Fuentes, and is barely on screen at all because Nick can't be on YouTube. So there's a bunch of these guys who are playing these clips online to help him build his audience. So you have to understand, like, this is a growing, fucked up wing. But I will say that there's a video of him attacking Matt Walsh, the what is a woman guy. I'll show you. Like, these are the clips that are coming up. Look at him going after Peanut Butter Dickhead. Grifter? Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens on there, the most evil man in America. And apparently he's of the belief that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, whose husband isn't even an American, right? That's one of his big things, set him up by literally having this interview so that they could cut it apart and fuck with him or whatever. Then Trump Gaza the takeover, about Israel's plan to take over Gaza, right? That thing. He did a video called Dear Black People, which is kind of like that letter to white people idea. And there's a ton of black channels that are doing reaction videos to it. And he's getting more nods than head shakes. I'm just telling you. This is Nick Fuentes versus everyone. And in this one, by the way, Nick Fuentes versus everyone, this is crucial for you guys to know in MAGA world. If you want to watch how shit is dismantling and the Thomas Massey crowd versus the Trump crowd, this is another version of that. Because versus everyone means Nick Fuentes against Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Elon Musk. Largely because foreign and gay. This seems to be his big dig at them, but that's the route by which he can criticize them. There's another Dear Black People reaction video. He calls himself the real NIGGA in a bunch of videos, and there are black online people who are reacting to his shit. Peanut Butter Dickhead won't have him on, but Adam will push his shit, which is really curious. They'll have him on without having him on. This is the potential Vance versus Newsom presidential race. No difference, just for the record. What do you think that's going to do to diminish which side's votes? Do you think it's going to drive down the votes on the Democrat side, or drive down the votes on the Republican side when it comes to 2028? And this dude's only gig, this is his goal, is to get 1 million disenfranchised white young men to hold their vote and demand something, kind of like TYT, has been trying to undermine the Republican or the Democratic establishment. He wants to do the same thing. And by the way, it'll have the same impact. It will hand over power to the other party. Nick Fuentes unleashes on black people, and conservatives can't handle it. I don't know if the conservatives, I think the conservatives liked it. Fuentes going after Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson has gone after him. It's a shit ton of this stuff. But like, look how many of these, these guys have reacted to a bunch of his stuff. And again, you guys don't need to watch this side of, MAGA TYT. It's exactly what it is. they will slice off a bunch of votes between now and the midterms. He will do it. And not because he'll, like, the racists will take their football and go home. And a bunch of them are going to, because Trump's not on the ballot in the midterms. That will slice it off. But there's a huge chunk of the right-wing establishment and the maggot crowd that are going to bow out because of it. Because he's almost single-handedly undoing the Brexit. Or the Blexit, sorry. The black exit from the Democrats. Remember that shit? Where you're like, you guys need to move over to Republicans and trust Trump, and Trump's your guy, and all that kind of shit, right? And there was a big push, and that had a significant impact on the black male vote in the United States. It meant a shift in the electorate in certain key states. Whether you believe Trump won legit or not, what got him within swinging distance was literally that shift in the black male vote, right? And that's where it came from. It's this whole, this concerted effort by Republicans and by specific conservatives to move them away from the Democratic Party and shame them away from the Democratic Party. And now they are discovering that Trump is, as full of shit as they were told the Democrats are, and then some. And will they go back to voting Democrat? Probably not. Will they continue to vote Republican? I seriously doubt it. John Deff says, I thought that was Putin. You're not off. That was definitely part of the push. But the people that actively bought it and engaged in it and were, fomenting it because whenever you set one of those things up, what you do is you grab people who legit believe that shit, and then you artificially inflate them, right? You give them money or fake supporters, or you get them into audience capture by making sure that their super chats only come when they say certain things, and then people will start, Jimmy Dore is one of the best examples of that, and so is TYT. They basically just chase whatever dollar. If they're repeating something, it's because the eyeballs in the audience have dictated it, not because it's right. And that's how you end up running in a populist run on common misconceptions instead of common sense. Yeah, 20% of black men voted for Trump, 8% of black women. That 10% of those black men, that was enough to shift the vote in some key areas. But they're not going to go back to voting Democrat, those guys, but they aren't going to more than likely vote for Trump. And a lot of it is because of Nick Fuentes. The irony, the fucking irony of a dude who literally thinks that black men are genetically predisposed to crime, are intellectually inferior in a permanent sense, all that. That's Nick Fuentes' beliefs. For real. The irony that he will be the guy that, on the one hand, talked black men into voting for Trump and now will talk them out of it is a powerful fucking political irony. And looking at the online impact of these things, that's the Hodge twins, doing his video. Look at this. Nick Fuentes sends a warning to young Gen Z voters about the Republican Party. Don't vote. This is the back and forth attack of him by Tucker Carlson. Meanwhile, Jesus fucking Christ. This is why, by the way, and I'll finish on this. This is why I'm so serious about ending the backbiting as Democrats, because the Republicans are going to be full on backbiting, and the response to it will be party unity and philosophical unity, trying to get power back to the Democratic Party and people who believe in the principles of the Democratic Party, whether they're independents or people who've leaned away from Republicans or whatever it is, to the point where we're moving in the direction of the good ideas that care for the most people, that guarantee people, a public education, clean water, clean air, vocational training for the shifting job market, a welfare safety net that supports people but doesn't drag them down. All those kind of things that are kind of we take for granted in the Democratic Party. We need to focus on getting those things done. Right? So it is very crucial that leave the backbiting to them. Let them attack each other. And I am, whoever's running in a Democratic race, if they can win, I'm for it at this point. Like, I don't have to be all in a purity contest on anybody, because I know in general, because they're Democrats, they will be for the majority of good things that help people, and not this absolute, like, white ethno-state, Christian dominionism, pro-Putin, violent bullshit. Right? The difference has never been more stark. And if they're going to do that, we don't have to buy into any of that shit. Just spend all your time pushing that along. Let it happen. Because they deserve it. They set themselves up for this shit. They got suckered into it, and it's our job to make sure they never fucking forget it. They were had. And like, if their shame is not going to make them, address, that if they envision themselves as Christians, but are actively trying to undermine the poor and the afflicted in any sense, then just stop calling yourself a Christian, stop lying, and just be the fucking atheistic technocrat that you really are. Just be a Darwinist and shut the fuck up, but don't sell something you don't believe, and then act disappointed when it doesn't come to fruition because you elect people who don't believe it either. Donald Trump's never read the fucking Bible. He couldn't quote one Bible. The motherfucker doesn't know Jesus wept. Like, he couldn't quote, he sure as shit couldn't quote John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, for whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Like, I can do that because I went to church camp 3 years in a fucking row and read the Bible twice when I was a kid. Like, and Trump, like, it's his favorite fucking book, and he can't decide because all of he loves all of the verses equally. Shut the fuck up, you guys. It's fucking pathetic. If he's going to be the no bullshit, says it like it is, tough guy, alpha male, then tell him to stop fucking bullshitting about reading the Bible, because he never has. And again, knock off all this Ten Commandments horse shit, because 5 of them are nullified in the First Amendment. And Trump is the coveting president. He is the president of coveting. That is his defining characteristic, is coveting. And unless you have some kind of evidence that those 11 people in that boat were actual cartel members and you can prove it, looks like murder to me. So thou shalt not kill is out the fucking window, even if you believe in self-defense or choosing a side in a war. Goofy motherfuckers. But it's, I have to say, there's a little bit of perverse joy in watching these assholes wake up to having been suckered. Not because I think they're gonna, come around. It's because they're gonna go away. Like I said, I don't need them to see the light. I just need them to see the lie. They do not have to recognize that they, how wrong they have been. They just have to see how much he's lying to them and call it quits. I want everybody to vote. I really do. I want everybody engaged, because once people stop voting, they start engaging in other shit, violence usually, or subterfuge. It's terrible. But in an emergency, if they just stay home and stick their thumb up their ass, I'll take that as a W. So there. And we can all talk about Jesus at some point, at the politician, because you cannot compare an extratemporal God who is the son of a deity that controls all reality to an earthbound politician or an earthbound political system. Not capitalism, not socialism, not freedom, not slavery, not anything, because they're beyond life itself. If anything, the only thing you can come away with from reading the Bible and knowing what God, God or Jesus said allegedly in that book is that this place is a simulation, and the only real life is outside of it. And there may be some sort of reward or punishment once you leave this simulation and enter into the real world where your heavenly Father is. Right? That's the story. That's what it says. Get out of the matrix and go there. That's what that means. But what you do while you're here chooses where you go next, right? According to what they believe. That's right. John Fugelsang's book is out on Wednesday. Mine's going to be arriving on Wednesday, I think. I think they mailed them out, so they start showing up. And I ordered my hard copy a long time ago. I pre-ordered it. So the Matrix is a dumbed down version of it, but the idea is that if there is everlasting life outside of this, then material mortal life is not real, and therefore the reason God allows suffering is because of the lessons learned and the fact that ultimately your soul is not harmed by what happens to you physically on this plane. So that's why God can allow cruelty and death and starvation and all these other things, because your soul learns a lesson and maybe it comes back or maybe it moves on, or maybe you're tested by what you learn here. But that's why you can have crime and death and then horror here, because this isn't real. But it does matter in how you're judged. That's the theory around it. We'll talk more about that on Sunday when I start my when I become the next Reverend Gene Scott after Trump shuffles off this immortal coil. What would Joe Pesci do? He'd probably kick you into a shallow grave and throw dirt in your face. I'm fair. It's a good question. It's hard for people to think that. Hold on. Yeah.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
But anyways, you guys, I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. And don't be afraid of these motherfuckers.